Watch Kansas. We are here in Tonganoxie, Kansas, in one of the most beautiful venues I have visited. We are here at Deer Ridge Estate in Tonganoxie, Kansas, and I want to give them a real good plug. They are at 21107 Donahoe Road, Tonganoxie, Kansas. The owners are Mark Peterson and Laura Snow. And last night they were our hosts for the Lincoln Day dinner that was put on by the Leavenworth, Kansas GOP, where our chairwoman was Melinda Harbor. Her and her team just kicked ass, I'll be honest. And we had an incredible keynote speaker who is sitting here on the couch with us today, Tana Goertz, a great friend of mine. This is not her first time in Kansas. This is her third time in Kansas. And Tana, some of you may have recognized her. She was on The Apprentice. She was also on Fear Factor. And more importantly, let me go ahead and say, she is an advocate for the Trump Campaign 1 and Trump Campaign 2. She led Iowa, which is one of the most important states, and led that to victory in almost a 10% lead over our win for Trump. And so, Tana, thank you again for coming to Kansas. We really appreciate you. You did an outstanding job last night.
Thank you.
The crowd loved you. But I want to share with Watch Kansas today, for those who couldn't come last night, but I'm sure that they will be at the Lincoln Day dinner next year, and we're going to bring Tana back to Kansas. So we're going to figure out how that's going to work out, but we'll get it to work out. But Tana, tell them a little bit about. There's so many questions because she's so close to Trump. She did get to talk to Trump the day before he left office, and so that's a little cliffhanger. We'll get to that a little bit later, but. Tell our audience a little bit about you and how you met Donald Trump.
Oh gosh, that's a great story. Well, so back in 2005, I applied to be a contestant on The Apprentice, and little did I know, 1 million plus other people were applying for that same position. And by the grace of God, by my skill sets, by my tenacity, I got cast, one of 18, and made it all the way. Was the runner-up on that season, and I just learned so much about Donald Trump, who was America's business icon back then. So many people respected him, looked up to him, admired him, were jealous of him, would put him on a pedestal. He was amazing. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he becomes the president, and then people hate him, and people despise him, and people talk about him, and people think he's no good. And so it's so funny to see the dynamic, how everybody was kissing his ass in 2005, when I was there, and how everybody despised him. But I always say not everybody did, because 63 million plus people voted for him in 2016. But my relationship with him has been ongoing for over a decade, almost 2 decades. So working on the campaign was not a job for me. It was actually a passion. It was a mission, and the job actually sucked, but I loved the product and the man, and the man that I worked so tirelessly for. But last night I blew the roof off of this place, mm-hmm. and it was really exciting, and the feedback was phenomenal, so I know I'll be back.
Excellent. So let's go back to your experience. So before Mr. Trump or Mr. Trump's team called you to say, hey, I'm running for president, will you be on our team? What was your experience in the political arena?
The experience was zero. I had none. I didn't have a political bone in my body. I actually hated politics because what I had seen on TV were wimpy men, mostly men. There were some women, I didn't care about them, but the men that I had seen that were politicians were wimpy, were, in my opinion, liars, were not strong, alpha males. I'm attracted to an alpha male, not a little wimpy beta man. And so I had seen politicians that I wouldn't cross the street for, or let alone vote for. So no political background at all.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's interesting because many Americans who were not politically involved actually became politically involved when Donald J. Trump came down the escalator. And so where were you in your career when before you got the call, the day before you got the call, you had been on Apprentice, was very successful there. And my son, who's 16 years old, my youngest son, he and I are YouTubing you, and we're watching Conan O'Brien, you being on Conan O'Brien, which was hilarious. And then we found your apprentice interview tape where, you know, you're doing these interviews and you're trying to sell Mary Kay to men at a car dealership. And everybody knows that, and no offense to all our car dealers, people that are watching, our salesmen, it's a tough job, but you are kind of sharky. So,
yeah. Yeah, they're known for being like the sharks of the sales force. But I went in and killed them with kindness and with my basket. They all bought from me. That was the audition video that I made to get cast, where Mark Burnett said, "Find me that lady." And that tape that you and your son watched on my YouTube channel changed my life forever. In answer to your question, what was I doing the day before the golden escalator moment? I had woke up, I had a speech, spoke to 5,000 people, drove home, I did my radio show, and the morning of the escalator, I was coaching, life coaching, a female who was suicidal, and I was just trying to give her, you know, the zest to go another day. And so I loved my 3 jobs. I loved being an inspirational speaker, I loved being a business coach, and I loved my radio show, Hey Tana Time. So I loved my jobs because I love being an entrepreneur. And then, poof, would you come and work on a political campaign? And that just, whoo, kind of hit me. And I got the call from Chuck Laudner, who was the state director for the Donald Trump campaign in Iowa, who's a political genius. He was a guru, done this for 30 years. He asked me, and I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to work with people that I knew were going to suck. I'm just to be honest with you. I knew that they were going to suck. I knew they didn't have passion. I knew they didn't have energy. I knew they didn't have enthusiasm. I didn't know Chuck at all, but I figured he was good or Trump wouldn't have hired him. So I had a minute of, I don't want to do this. Like, I know how much money I can make stepping on stage, and I know that political campaigns don't have any money. So I had to think about it, and I did think about it, but I thought, I know, if I'm involved, I'll get this man in the White House. And if I'm involved, I'll make history with this man. And if I'm involved, we'll be in the history books that my grandkids will write about or read about and go, "That's Grandma Tana." I'll do it. What the hell? I'll do it because I can get this man in the White House, and the rest is history.
I think that's such a great story because I think there's many of us who worked on the Trump campaign and or ran for office sacrificing, you know, I can tell you personally, you know, I was working for the president before I ran for Congress, you know, working for the President Donald J. Trump, who I love to death. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I think he is going to go down in the record books as our best president ever. He's our pro-life president. Everybody knows that I'm a huge pro-lifer. But I was working for him. I was one of 10 across the United States, working with our small businesses, which is my other passion, and making the most money I've ever made. And, you know, if it wasn't for him running and me seeing that we need more individuals like myself to help support him in Congress.
Right.
And so I gave all of that up to run, and it was, I did it because I love our country, and I did it because, you know, he needed more support.
He did, 100%. But you're only one person.
Right.
What about what about all the other states? And how many people supported you? How many people got behind you and said, "Awesome, atta girl, I want to support you. I want to bring you to the top so you can use your skills and abilities." Mm-hmm. They don't. They want to see you fail. Mm-hmm. Just like I said last night in the speech that was so well received by, I'd say, half of the room. Don't be so good at losing. So many people are so good at losing and they roll over and go, "Well, I'm out of it." No, you're not out of it unless you give up. Mm-hmm. And so I'm disappointed in so many people, and that was me at a level 5 last night. I really wanted to give people a good old ass whipping and let them know what they did to our president I didn't appreciate. And this is the group. This is the Republican Party. Like, we are on the same team. Everybody said, "Tana, we're on the same team." And I'm like, oh crap. I'm on the team of Donald Trump, not the GOP team, not the Republican Party team. I didn't know anything about that. As I said last night, I thought a caucus was a bad word, a nasty word for male genitalia when I got into this business. And so, so many people turned their back on this man who actually built the Republican Party to what it is today. So I was really disappointed, but I was very proud of you. But you're only one person.
Right. No, and he needed much more support. And you really do find out when you're running for politics who your real friends are.
Yes, you do.
Right. And I think Donald Trump was so appreciative that you were there, that you were telling him what was going on the ground. So let's talk about a couple of those challenges. So you were telling us last night, you're in Iowa, you're new to politics. You go into the office. She's got great energy. I know you guys can see that here. But you go in the office and you're like, did someone die? What's going on?
Wow,
so tell us about that.
We work for Donald freaking Trump. Like, put a smile on your face. Also, get out of your pajamas and your sweatpants and put on a damn suit. Put on a tie. Take a shower. Let's just start with that. But push that aside. What was it like? They didn't want to see me. They all wanted to see me fail. They're like, what the hell? She's a reality TV star. What's she doing rolling up into the political arena? She doesn't know anything about it. So immediately, I'd been through this my whole life. I mean, I wrote the children's book all about being different, knowing you're different, and people that are intimidated by strong, successful people who have a proven record of results. A lot of people are immediately turned off and they hate you for it. They hate you because they ain't you. I'm just going to say that. And a lot of people hate me because they ain't me, and they hate Donald Trump because they ain't Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, the team wasn't welcoming with open arms and banana bread or anything like that, saying welcome to the team. So they didn't look like they were having any fun, because they weren't having any fun, because they hated the job, because the job kind of sucks, and they didn't know the candidate. They didn't know the product. See, I would have never, ever taken the job if I didn't love and know Donald Trump could do it. One, I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think that the person I'm working for, busting my butt, working, like, you don't sleep, you work 70 hours a week, you get paid crap. If I didn't think that there'd be a day that I'd meet this man, are you kidding me? I would never ever do that. Mm-hmm. Yet I was looking around the room going, you hate me for no reason. You hate me because you ain't me, and you're never going to be me, so I see why you hate me. But you're giving it half-ass, probably because you know that person, Donald Trump, will never know you because you suck, and that person will never ever know you because you're not working hard enough to ever make grab his attention. Mm-hmm. So these people are working for these candidates that they've never met. To me, that's so weird. Mm-hmm. I can't, it's actually so mind-boggling that it's like, I can't imagine that. And maybe that's because I've been an entrepreneur all my life and I don't settle. But it'd be like working for a CEO and never meeting the CEO. Mm-hmm. Like, I would be the CEO's executive assistant in like a year. Mm-hmm. I would never oh my God, well, what is he like? And what does he drive? Are you kidding me? Yeah. But they do it. And to me, that's so weird. Yeah. But that's just me.
Well, and I think that one of my favorite quotes that you quote before and that you use, and that is, while people are thinking about working, you're working.
Right. You don't get weak on the weekends.
Right.
You don't get strong like this being weak on the weekends.
Well, and that's it. And I think that for our small businesses, in a political campaign, you got to know the product.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And you've got to have people who are working for you, who know that product, who believe in that product.
And are passionate
about that product.
Right.
Because if you don't have that, and that's just some advice for anyone who's thinking about running for office, and you're thinking about building your team, there's reasons why people hire people that are friends of theirs, that they know them, because they trust them. Okay? And so when you bring an outsider in that is supposed to be a political guru, and yes, they do have a lot of knowledge, but you also have to have somebody in your corner that's saying, wait, just because you've done it that way all the time, it doesn't work.
Oh my God. You just gave me two examples.
Right.
So they wanted to trot Donald Trump out into a pizza ranch. Okay, do you guys have pizza ranches here? Well, it's an amazing place.
Okay.
They don't pay me, so I'm not going to give them that big of a plug. But they do have amazing fried chicken, and they have decent pizza, and it's all you can eat. And they got a salad bar, and I love me a salad bar.
Okay.
So it's where all the politicians go on their campaign many times in Iowa. And so Chuck wanted to trot Trump out to pizza ranches, and I'm like, man, I gotta step in. Like, Chuck, Donald Trump's never gonna come to a pizza ranch. I mean, fried chicken isn't his thing. Pizza's not really his thing. It's just not what that brand. He's a billionaire,
Right.
so that's a disconnect. We gotta find a better place, and so we did. And then they wanted to put Donald Trump up at a Holiday Inn. Now, no disrespect to Holiday Inns. They're not paying me, so I'm not going to plug them. I'm not going to talk about their nice mattresses. But the Holiday Inn is where they wanted to put Donald Trump and Melania up the night before the caucus. And I'm like, God, here's the deal. I know Trump is funding his own campaign, and he would want me to step in and put him up at a better hotel. He's Donald Trump. He doesn't probably need to stay at a Holiday Inn Express, actually, is what it was. And that's where all the politicians stay. But all of the politicians are not a billionaire. You work for a billionaire. We work for a billionaire. So you gotta like change it up because the brand is a higher echelon. But the mindset was, we usually work out of our truck. I trot the politician out into a pizza ranch and put him up at a Holiday Inn because we're just rubbing nickels. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not Donald Trump. And it took a little convincing, but yeah, I mean, I remember one time Trump was like, what the hell are they putting me up at? I'm like, I tried. I mean, you can only say it so many times, but cheap is cheap, and stupid is stupid, and people that are stuck in their ways are stuck in their ways. And you got to know your product. And people didn't, but I did.
That's right. I remember a story also, kind of on the same lines as, we've always done things this way. Last night you were telling a story about you were on the campaign trail. Everyone's still kind of getting to know you. You have two really great ideas. One was was it a bus?
Yeah, so I wanted to have a tour bus that a rock star used to own, and I wanted to have it wrapped Trump. And you can see it on my Instagram page. You can Google it. The Trump bus, it made history. It was in every media outlet, every network news talked about it. And the Trump bus was my idea because Iowans believed Donald Trump was canvassing the state of Iowa, going to all 99 counties, and that was not true. Mm-hmm. The only way I could keep that momentum of that story going was to get that bus and get it wrapped. I put a rose on a turd, to be quite honest with you, is exactly what happened. I didn't buy the bus. I rented the bus. Every time it went from point A to point B, I paid for the gas, and Trump paid for the gas and paid for a driver. But what happened was I was canvassing the state of Iowa with our team, and we were going from point A to point B, and all those Iowans thought Trump was on that tour bus. And I got a lot of pushback. I got a lot of flack. People didn't want me to have the bus, and I was like, well, I'll just give Trump a call because I guarantee you I'm going to get that bus, and I did.
I think that's a great
Don't mess
story.
with me.
Yeah, I mean,
when I got an idea that I know's a winner, come on, don't mess with me.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's that drive and that passion when you know your product that you win Iowa in 2016 by 9.5%, which was one of the largest margins back since Ronald Reagan in 1980.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that, you have to have individuals like you, not only on your team when you're running for politics, but can you imagine her if she was your CEO of your company? I mean, seriously.
You want to make money? You know what's so funny is you just made me think of something that I wanted to mention last night, but we were running out of time so as I mentioned, everybody got fired after the Iowa caucus. It was such a mess, Lion Ted. And so then there was me and like two guys that I worked with in 2016 that I was like, we gotta keep them. And we did. Then it was now my responsibility to pick people to hire for the general. And so I suggested that we hired the state director, and he was phenomenal, and we worked great together. So then we built a team, Eric and I, built a team that that I was able to say, okay, now I need to know her qualifications, because if she sucks, I can't have her. Even though I wasn't the state director, my ass was on the line, as he told me. And so I made one bad choice in hiring somebody, and I hired somebody because she was going to be the technical stuff and kind of keep the team on track, because that wasn't my area. That's not what I'm good at. And so anyways, she ended up, I knew in day 3, when she wouldn't listen, like, listen, we don't have time for you to interview all these staff. That's not what I have you here for. It's to keep us all on track and tell me where we're going and what he needs to do. She couldn't get off of her mentality of, I got to do it this way. So I realized in 3 days she sucked and she needed to go. And she was a sort of a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine. And so I said to Eric, I said, hey man, I made one mistake in this whole entire time, and that was hiring her. So he's like, well, we're going to make it work. I go, oh, hell no, we're not. Hell no, we're not. No chances, no second chances. So I sat her down and I said, it's over. It was a mistake. Hey, it was great while it lasted. Those 3 days were awesome. You got to go. Rip the Band-Aid off and send her on her way. Done. But yet we had some other turds on the team that should have been fired. And I'm like, they need to go.
Well, you and I saw that firsthand
Please.
with a director when in our first month working together.
Shoot.
And yeah,
That was a trip. That was the first time I learned about campaign sex, and I didn't know what it was. We were at a dinner and somebody's talking about campaign sex, and I'm like, is that a martini?
yeah,
No, honestly, that's how naive I was.
yeah. There was so many
So many nuts.
in
Nuts.
campaigns and presidential campaigns.
And there's a lot of weak women, I have to say. I mean, I don't know who he thought he was messing with me,
Yeah,
but I'd seen some trash coming in and out of hotel rooms.
yeah.
And that I worked with, and I was like, oh, I knew you sucked. I didn't know you were a slut, but now I know.
It was very interesting to see it firsthand. I've always heard about it.
Me
but
too.
But to see it, you're just like, really?
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So definitely a lot of crazy stuff, but a lot of good stuff too. And thankfully, we did find some really great patriots across the United States.
That was a plus.
And,
We found each other.
Yes,
That was a plus.
that was so awesome. And so, yeah, so the president's getting ready to leave. We won the election in November. And so you call the president, you reach out to him.
I did. So here's the deal. Yes, I know we won that election. I was I'm front and center. I was the hype girl warming up the crowds before he came out. I went to so many states. I went to these rallies. The movement was unbelievable. The momentum was, you can't even put words into that. He was a rock star. I mean, it was like you thought Michael Jackson, and every top rock star that ever existed was walking into the building. He's so amazing. He's so larger than life. People love him. I mean, he reinvigorated people that had lost hope in the country. He reinvigorated veterans who never had anybody be their voice. He reinvigorated women like myself who were pro-life, mothers who love being a mother. He reinvigorated so many people, entrepreneurs, businesswomen like us. Just the list goes on and on, young professionals. And it was such a beautiful movement. And then to see it get ripped out from underneath us broke my heart, because I had seen in a smaller scale Donald Trump and his family putting trust in people that he shouldn't have put. Putting their trust in, say, the GOP, putting their trust in a campaign manager, putting their trust in somebody to get them the win, who, as I described last night and a little bit here today, didn't really care all that much. I mean, they cared because it was a paycheck. They cared because we make a lot of money when he keeps winning, but didn't care enough to take care of the people, like I mentioned last night, to be good, to be kind, to be ethical, to be nice, to be authentic, to give perks. And we lost because some of those people hired really bad state directors across the state. And when we're looking at results and it's not an ass whipping like it was in Iowa, then now we can kind of scratch our head and go, well, maybe we didn't win that state. And then there's the shenanigans. But if you ass whip like I did in my state, there's no question that we won and that Iowa wants President Trump again. Mm-hmm. But that was a connect because Donald Trump couldn't do it all. He was making America great. And he was doing things that I have a 20-page letter of accomplishments that he made. The promises made, promises kept. Well, he was keeping those promises. So he had to trust that you're going to hire 50 great state directors, and you failed him. He's going to trust that the campaign is going to hire election day officials, people that are going to protect election day results. Well, guess what? They failed him. And this person failed him, and the attorneys failed him, and he didn't fail us. And so I took it personally because I know how hard he worked. I worked my butt off. And I was only this big on a campaign that was this big. And so the campaign's this big, most of the people worked this hard. I worked this hard. Donald Trump worked this hard. And we failed him. They failed him. I didn't. I'll never say the word fail. They failed him. So then when we get this election and the results and we can't fight it in court, which we should have never had to, I take it personal because this man gave it all up. He was a billionaire. He has a beautiful wife. He's got great kids. He doesn't need this crap. He put it all on the line for you and me and your kids and my kids and your grandkids and my grandkids are coming down the road later in life in America. And so I was so bummed and so hurt when, you know, when we didn't win, and then two, with the all this insurrection talk and the January 6th date and coming to DC and people going to DC and what happened there. And I knew those weren't Trumpers because I know the Trumpers. Those are the people that love me and support me and show up at the rallies for Trump and for me. And I was heartbroken that you are not going to tarnish the 45th president, the GOAT of all presidents, image and reputation on January the 6th that had nothing to do with the people like me who love him and like you who love him. We weren't there. We would never have done that. We're law and order. And so it broke my heart. So I had to call the White House and say, I want you to know that you've never disappointed me. And you have not disappointed millions. I'm saying 73 million people voted for you and love you. You did not disappoint us. You are the GOATs. I was like, does he know what the GOATs are? But I knew he did because he called Tom Brady a GOAT. You are the GOATs, the GOAT of all presidents. And I will do anything for you, and I will always be loyal to you. And he said, you've always been loyal to me, Tana. And so many people haven't. And that's when I went, them damn Mitt Romneys, them damn, I don't want to say all the names because I mean, they're not worth my breath. But Mitt Romney, he was a traitor, complete traitor. And he wanted to be president, and he was jealous of Trump, just like so many people were. And the media betrayed him. And I just wanted him to know, I know he knows I love him because he knows when I look at him, he knows it's different. And Trump's a genius. He knows people. And he knows that my heart was authentic. Trump knows what I did for a living. He knows I love my jobs. He knows I hate these politicians because I would tell him, that dirtbag never wore the MAGA hat. And he'd say, I said, that guy that you're here for? Nah, get going. Don't even endorse him. He's a wimp, and he never wore the MAGA hat. And that's why they didn't like me, because I'd be backstage going, you see that little slime ball? Let me tell you about him. Oh, you see that little weasel? Let me tell you. And I told them about everyone. Every one of them. And some of them heard me do it. And some of them saw the effect, and Trump don't play. And Trump knew. Tana loves me, and she wants nothing from me. He knew I hated this job. He knew I didn't give two craps about any of those politicians. I was there for one reason and one person, and he knew it was him. And so I always have my Trump card. I don't know when I'll use it or how I'll use it. I have some really great ideas. But this man needs a break. This man needs to sit on the beach with a virgin pina colada staring at Melania's hot ass in a bikini. And he needs to just chill and say, what the hell did I do this for? And I want him to enjoy his life. And then I'm going to go down to Mar-a-Lago and I'm going to, see him. I don't know if I'm going to pitch him anything. I don't think I'm going to pitch him anything because I can do anything that I need to do on my own with him as an endorser. I mean, come on. So I just wanted him to know I love him, and I will never, ever, ever utter the words that he disappointed me.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, it just gives me chills, and it was, I mean, I was able, you gave me the opportunity to meet the president,
You
before he
deserve
was,
that. You
before
deserve
he
that.
was the president. We were in Wichita, Kansas, getting ready for the caucus, and,
That was
you
so
know,
fun.
he's, you know, you were able to get us into, we went to the Iowa rally,
Yeah.
and to be part of those rallies was pretty incredible. I remember our first rally in Wichita, where my kids were much younger then,
I remember that one.
and we didn't know the impact of a rally back then. So we're in Wichita, Kansas. We got this little area. It was a big area, to be honest, and they were like, "Hey, can your kids be like security?" And I was like, "I have 5 boys. Anyone knows me." And you know, my oldest son at that time was a freshman in college, and everybody else was in high school and grade school. And so I was like, "Okay, you know, they're on security detail."
We just needed bodies, baby.
And so, you know, it was a pretty incredible experience, and that was our first rally, and my kids were able to go to future rallies later on. But these rallies that we went to last year, and you know, there's a great Kansan. Her name's Virginia Crossland Maka.
Yes.
Virginia, you met her
Yes.
in Iowa, and she had this idea, and she took it from you. She's like, "I'm going to get a trailer, and I'm going to wrap it." And her and Emily Willman, who worked for Senator Pat Roberts for many, many years, over 20-something years, we're talking, and Emily's like, "I'm in."
Wow.
And so I'm talking to Virginia. I'm just leaving. After losing the primary campaign, I'm in Florida visiting my son, and I'm talking to Virginia. She's like, "What are you up to?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm coming back to Kansas tomorrow. I've had, you know, some time off, you know," and she's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know yet. What are you doing?" And she's like, "I just wrapped a trailer, and Emily and I are gonna go around the state of Kansas, and we're gonna stump for Trump
Oh my gosh,
across
I
the
love
state." And I said, "I'm in."
it.
And she goes, "What?" I go, "I'm in." And so
I
she's
love
like, "All right." Well, then she picked up Jackie Eckert, who was there last night with her mom from Hutchinson, Kansas, who had been recently laid off from the Kansas State Fair, because our governor, who is awful, she is. We have our very own AOC here in Kansas for all you non-Kansans. Her name is Laura Kelly, and she's the devil incarnate, and I will tell her that to her face. And she's got to go. And she closed down our state during this whole, you know, China virus thing. And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to jump on this Trump trailer." And we went through 3 trailers.
Oh my gosh. I remember you
yeah.
would call me,
Oh
"Can
my
I
God.
hop aboard?"
Yeah.
And I wanted to join you girls.
Yeah, we wanted to
That
come
was
to
so
Iowa too and do that, but you know, we did about 13,000 miles across the state. I think that was 4 or 5 times around the state. And but your idea of wrapping the bus, we had so much energy and so
Yeah,
many
they love
people
it. They
who
love it.
came. They loved it.
Yeah.
And
It's a magnet for patriots.
it was. And so at that time, Senator our current Senator Roger Marshall, who was running for Senate, he joined us, and we had other people, Tracy Mann, who was running for Congress, and Jake LaTurner, and you know, all across the state, people were like, "Can we join you?" We're like, "Absolutely, come, we'll," you know, and that gave our state great momentum, because I'll tell you, we had a woman who was running who wanted to be like AOC, and she was running against Roger Marshall, and she was terrible. If she would have gotten to office, Barbara Bouyer, call her Babs. That's my nickname. I have nicknames like Trump
Yeah,
has.
I love those nicknames.
So
Those
I'm
are
like,
great.
Babs can't get in. We just can't have her. So, and then, you know, our governor, I call her Lawless Laura, Baby Killer Laura, Gun Grabber Laura. I got all
Hello.
kinds. I mean,
There we go.
I haven't
We're
thought
getting
much
there
about
now.
it. Yeah.
We're getting there now.
So, and then we got Sherry, and that's Sharice Davis, and that's she is our AOC actually at Congress right now. And yeah, we can give her all the same ones that, you know, Lawless Laura has and Baby Killer Laura, because that's what Cherie represents. So Anyway, that idea of thinking out of the box, but to have that passion about your candidate,
It's so
and
valuable.
and that is the difference. People see that. People on the outside who are just looking, and like maybe they come to a debate and they're like, man, I know I heard in my campaign they were like, your volunteers love you.
Yeah, it's because, like I said last night, the enthusiasm breeds more enthusiasm. Like, have fun. If you're not having fun doing this, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And so many people, like even Trump's friends from out of state, or even Trump's children, they would see the light in my eyes when I would like endorse Trump or talk about Trump or be with Trump versus the state directors or the other people, and they could tell there's a disconnect. Like, she loves this man that's my dad, and this person is just a sleazeball, slimy jerk taking a paycheck. You can tell if I love you or not.
Yeah, right.
Like, when I had numerous people say they loved the fact that I put you up on a pedestal last night and showed everybody here, all these Kansas people, how much I loved you. I didn't know that there were people in the audience that wanted you to lose your race. I didn't know that people weren't 100% on your team. I love you. I support you. I think you're an awesome woman. And I wanted to tell you, at those rallies that I got the family to and the kids to, I always sang your praises because I wanted your children. Now, I know your children love you, but I wanted your children to see you in another light, like a star light. You were a celebrity because you were working for free to help me accomplish my goals, and my goals were to get the president elected. So I wanted your children, your boys, and I saw them do it. Look at you like, my mom's the crap, man. Like, she's the boss. And I wanted that experience because you're great at what you do, but you could never have had that experience if somebody wasn't seeing your value and your worth. And I saw that the day I met you.
Well, and I think that's just, so many campaigns just don't think about it. I think even the person running for office, they don't always see everything. But I know we do, and I know that there are people that we count on to make sure that those volunteers are engaged and that they are getting some time with me, and or I know, if it's their birthday or something, to acknowledge that. And
most people weren't doing that. I
Yeah.
never saw that. I was the only one doing that. Nobody had ever thought about the autistic man that's making 30,000 calls. It's his birthday. What about, let's even just start at the bare minimum, a birthday cake. But I'm like, he's better than a birthday cake. He's going to meet Donald Trump today. No, he's not. Yeah. Oh, really? Do I need to call him again? I'll call him. And he did.
I love the fact that you had the power of the president's phone number.
Yeah, you know what? I went above. I stepped over everybody to get what I needed, and I needed him. And I think that the reason there might have been that rub with me the second time around when I had to play nice in the sandbox with people I don't want to play with, being an entrepreneur, I pick and choose who I work with, who I speak to, where I go. I'm the boss. And I wasn't the boss because I had to have somebody else telling me what to do. But I knew that the boss wasn't going to let anything happen to me. So I think what happened was the minions hated me because I was untouchable. But I never had the idea and the mindset that, like, I'm never going to get fired because I'm going to rest on my laurels that I'm this big old badass that Trump loves, because that was all true. But I knew that I still had to do my job and do it well. But if somebody were to mess with me, I'm going straight to the top.
So let's talk about that. There was one time during the campaign where Trump is avoiding you.
Oh, shoot, that was a bad day. Curtis always talks about this. Yeah, he was pissed. I mean, the reality is I told him to his face. He asked me, am I going to win the Iowa caucuses? Well, like I said, I was the hype girl, the original hype girl. I threw out the red meat and they ate it like vultures. And so I knew these people of Iowa wanted him, loved him, and never seen anything like him. And they were going to vote for him. So, yes, you're going to win. And he's like, okay, it's all on you. Oh, great. Well, why isn't it on Chuck? He's your state director. He's awesome. He knows what he's doing. Anyways, we lose because of Lion Ted telling everybody that Dr. Ben Carson is pulling out of the race. which he hadn't yet, and all the people that were going to vote for Dr. Ben went, well, I better go to the next best thing that seems like a pastor, preacher, I'll go to Ted Cruz. Well, we would have won if Ted didn't lie to everybody and say that he was pulling out of the race, so Ted Cruz wins. And I show up at the victory party, which was going to be the victory party, which ended up being the Tana's ass is grass party. And at the Hilton, actually, no, the Holiday Inn in Des Moines. And lo and behold, he's there with the team and Corey and Chuck and everybody. And it was not a positive moment. And he was going to give remarks and whatever and take off. And he just took off. And I knew my ass was grass. And so then the next day he was going to Vegas to do their caucus, and I knew I had to be there. And so I skip out on everything I had going that next day, and I got on a plane, and Curtis was like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm off to Vegas, man. Nevada, I gotta do some damage control. So I show up, and I'm backstage, and I run into Don and Eric Trump. And so Trump had obviously been talking about me because they were pissed at me. And I'm like, enough of you, I got to get to daddy, right? And they were like, we don't need any Iowa bad luck here. I go, no. Oh, they were mad. So I knew my ass was grass. And so, so I show up and I get to Trump and he was mad. And he goes, what happened? You told me we were going to win. And I go, we would have won. You didn't lose Iowa because of me. You lost Iowa because of lying Ted. And you know you didn't lose Iowa because of me. And he goes, I know I didn't. I know you work hard. I know I didn't lose Iowa because of you. And I go, all right, then are we good? And he's like, yeah, go out and have a good time. And he was, he was going to speak at a huge mega rally. And so,
I could totally see him saying that. Like, of all the apprentices that I've watched, I'm like,
dude, I got the shivers right now thinking about it. It was like, oh. You don't tell Donald Trump how it's going to be, but I'm like, wait, I'm not going to have this bad mark on me because of lying-ass Ted and because half the team, didn't leave I left no stone unturned. I worked my butt off, was driving people like crazy. I seemed like I was on crack getting people to and from the caucus because I wanted to make sure we were going to win. So I wanted him to know, I mean business. You didn't lose because of me. Now let's go. And he fired everybody. And I was like, oh my God. Like, ooh, these people really need the job. To me, this is like, I'm making chicken peanuts. This is not, what? Like, but he was like, and the people that, not everybody deserved to go, but there was a lot of people that did. And I was like, you ain't worth crap. You needed to go a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But
they probably went on to Lion Ted's.
No, they didn't. They actually didn't really ever get jobs again because I let Trump. No, I let him know, like, they were really bad and they don't deserve to be working on another person's campaign.
My experience has always been that, like, if someone leaves your campaign,
they hop around.
They hop around.
They hop around. I'm like, wait, I thought you loved me.
Yeah.
I thought I was the one.
Yeah.
But that's what the whole being liars and being wimpy and you don't care about the candidate, it's just a paycheck. How can you sit there? It'd be like, we're very different, but we're very much alike. Mm-hmm. And let's just say, we hire April to be your campaign manager, and she loves you and she's dedicated, whatever. And let's just say we have one sort of rub on a subject where we believe differently. Now all of a sudden she's going to come my way and think that my way is the greatest. It's like, well, wait, what side are you on? Like, what was your take on that policy issue? If we're different, but yet you're going both ways, it just goes to show how unauthentic these people really are that hop from campaign to campaign because you clearly can't be supporting the person because everybody is built differently. God built us all different.
Sure.
And so I just think it's a phony business.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely quite challenging to be in politics, and I know I've learned a lot, not only with the presidential campaign and other campaigns that I've been involved in, including my own personal one, and it's just quite challenging. And now, where do you see us going? I mean, our leader is gone.
Yeah, the cash cow left the barn.
And so, what do you see, and what advice would you give to the GOP? Let's start there.
Shoot. What advice? Well, they better pay me a lot of money to come in and tell them how they need to shake things up. But for you, being a friend, I'll give this to you for free. What advice? So the cash cow left the barn. I wanted to read last night numerous emails that I had, but I didn't want to spank them that hard. I have emails that say I have donated to President Trump, and ended up being the GOP, received the benefit of that money, over $50,000. And after what just happened, I will never give the Republican Party another red cent. I have numerous emails about that. So the fundraising, I'm sure, is just down in the toilet. They're probably like trying to figure out how to even bring that out. That's never going to happen unless we get some leaders that show strength and loyalty and get behind the president. But what I'm seeing happening, Adrienne, is people are going, oh my God, now that he's been tarnished, image tarnished, impeached president twice, oh God, this is a bad guy. I knew he wasn't going to be the guy. I knew we shouldn't have got behind him when he was in the general election. And oh my God, I knew when he became the president that this might have been a bad idea. Because, to be honest with you, I had to convince, you had to convince, people had to convince these leaders that he was worth anything.
Yeah.
They didn't like this man. And they still didn't like him when he was the cash cow bringing in millions, $40 million. I was on one of them campaigns. I saw the money that was rolling in. If they think Republicans are going to give them money like they had, they're mistaken. I've got about 20 emails in my box right now that say I'm switching my party. Okay, that's one. That's small. There's much bigger things than that. Not donating, switching party, never voting again is another one. The disloyalty has been so horrific that never volunteering again. And so they're all disfranchised. And I can't blame them. I watched it. I watched GOP leaders who begged this man that were never Trumpers, then became Trumpers when he became the president, who begged him for a job that he gave him. Then when we lose the election or have it taken from us, they lose their job. Now they immediately say he was no good. We should have never bet on him. So it's like, how can we repair from this? And so they need to hire me to come and tell them how to rewrite the political playbook, or they're dried up and they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no coming back from what just happened, because there will never, I repeat, never be another candidate like Donald Trump. He was the best thing that ever happened to them, and they treated him so poorly. They never respected him. They used him. That's what they did. They used this man that I love. And they used him for money because he could bring the money in. I can't tell you how easy it was for me I can't remember, we were doing a fundraiser when Donald Trump was banking his campaign in 2016, and I was calling people and they were like, $25,000, no problem. How much do you want? Most people would say, could we get 1,000? I said, 25 would be a great start. Like, they were writing it like it was nothing. Literally, that's never going to happen again. So the mindset and the mentality really needs to shift from being disloyal pansies to being loyal, straight up, honest, and having integrity patriots. So I really think the disconnect, what I'm seeing is we're Republican or we're Democratic. No, we're not. We're patriots. Stop with that pitting each party against one another. Let's just be patriots. Can we just start there? And so, I mean, it's not going to be easy, I can tell you that. And so if they want help, I can tell them how to rewrite the political playbook. But to be quite honest with you, I'm really hot right now, and I'm not looking to give many more nuggets for free.
Yeah. Well, and it's a change in paradigm is what I'm hearing. And I have been hearing a lot from our patriots who say, you know what, I don't like this R&D stuff. I don't like having a Republican, an
right.
R behind my name or a D. I'd rather be independent. But they are saying, you know what, we're patriots first. There was a couple podcasts that I listened to last week. I was on about 3 national Zoom calls with grassroots organizations that are not affiliated with any party. And they're talking about exactly what we're talking about here on the couch today, and that is, how do we get another individual like Donald Trump? But how do we build that trust? Because we are losing out on these disenfranchised voters who had never voted before.
Right, no, they brought, so,
I mean,
myself being one of them, those patriots that came to those rallies, 63 plus rallies, these people had never voted in their life. Donald Trump invigorated them. They're never going to go to another candidate because they look at the Republican Party like they failed him, which they did. So as I mentioned last night in my presentation, is we need new blood. We need people that are not politicians, that are outsiders, that do have a backbone, that are alpha male or alpha female, that have a brain, that actually will honor the promises that they make and keep them. So, it's the average Joe or Jane that is in this business that isn't cutting it.
Right.
So we need somebody completely different, there's nobody like Trump. So we're never gonna ever, it's like, how do you go to a Michael Jackson concert and then go see, who sucks? I don't know. Go see Tana Goertz string the guitar or play the rock guitar. I don't know, or electric guitar. You just, how do you do it?
Yeah.
It's gonna be such a anticlimactic. It's gonna be such a downer, I'll be so bored. I mean, I wouldn't cross the street for another candidate.
Right.
Unless I have a few that maybe I would. But other than that, no, it's gonna be a total disappointment.
Right.
So they're gonna have to dig deep, and they won't though. They're so used to losing, and they're so good at losing.
Yeah, talk about that real quick. I want to
So
end with, the president telling you on the phone, Republicans got to stop losing so well.
Being so good at losing.
Losing.
Think about the people in your, in life or in your world or even in business or politics. If I lose, I'm madder than hell. I'm hotter than a pistol. I don't want to lose. It makes me very angry. I get so mad at myself. What could I have done different? Well, nobody can outwork me, so I know it's not a work thing. It's and I'm pretty bright. Maybe it's a brain thing. I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to work the remote. I've struggled in that area, but I don't know. I don't know why some people are so good at losing and why they don't have that competitive edge, but so many people are. And like, I know you left no stone unturned for your race. You weren't going to just go, well, it's election day, so let's just hope that people turn out like me. You're probably driving people to and from the polls. And, Donald Trump doesn't get to be America's business icon before he was the president. People looked up to him for nothing, for being stupid. He doesn't get in that position for not having the elevator go to the top floor. So he knows that a lot of people are good at losing because they're no good at their job and they're not passionate. And so what I want to do is now start educating people how to not give up and how to dig in and dig deep and find the strength from within you to go, I'm going to get it. And anything I've ever put my mind to, I get, because I will outwork you. Just like Donald Trump did in the 2016 campaign. 17 people who were political gurus, this was their line of work, and he comes in and ass wipes them and takes their legs out from underneath them, this billionaire who's a businessman. How did he do it? I mean, he's got the gifts, he's got the talent, he's got the charisma, he's got the skill set to do it, but he outworked him. You know how hard it is to do what he did? I have high energy, and I was the hype girl. So I had to do 20 minutes to his 2 hours. And we did a day in Iowa where it was 5 of those. I was so wiped out. I was like, my God, I feel like I've been through 18 rounds of boxing. And he was like, gotta go, working on the plane, and then dropped me off in Des Moines and flew back to New York. And I'm like, how's he do it? He's like 20 years older than me. Just when you're an ass kicker, you're an ass kicker. And so many people are just lazy pansies, and that's why they just go, yeah, I'm good at losing.
Yeah.
I can do this because this is what I do. A loser's a loser.
Right. I mean, I know I personally saw here in Kansas, and women, females, I see this in business, I see this in politics, but it's almost like they know they're defeated weeks in advance, and so they give up. They're like they're fine with losing.
Yeah, because they're so used to losing.
Well, because now they're like, hey, I'm gonna do it again in 2 more years. Let's just go ahead.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Once a
And
loser,
you stopped running 10 weeks ago when
Yeah.
a poll. And who believes in polls anymore?
Yeah.
Polls
Not
are
me.
not. I mean,
polls aren't real.
polls aren't real. And you pay for what you want to get out of it. And so, ladies, stop that.
Yeah.
As a woman, when that happens and I see that, I'm personally offended. Because I know how hard I work, and I'm like, your ass better be working just as hard as
Right.
mine. Because let me tell you,
Oh, right on. And
and don't be Hispanic and do that. Because I'm Mexican, and I'm hardest on Mexican Latinas. And I'll tell you what, if you're not working as hard as I am, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you straight out.
you will, and I
And
love
if you're
that.
from Wyandotte.
And you do work your butt off, and that's what I love about you. And I'm Italian, and and I'll cut you, I'll kill you. I mean, I'll outwork you. And don't ever say you can't to me. A can't is a dare.
Right.
I will clean your clock. I love when people. And here's the thing about women, and you're so right, because I empower I coach a lot of women and love to empower them. A lot of women think that they're being aggressive if they go for it. Like people go, oh, you're so aggressive. No, I'm not. I'm an ass kicker and I'm a fighter for what I want. And I have the results that prove it. So a lot of women think that they're being aggressive, which, okay, I get that. That might have been the way you were raised. But a lot of women realize that people are waiting for us to fail. They're looking for you to fail. And so I'm always like, I want to give you the opposite effect that you're expecting. Mm-hmm. So you expect me to fail? Well, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go then be the MVP of the campaign. So all these people who, when I walked in, were like, oh my God, she's just a TV reality star. Who the hell hired her? Oh, Donald just must have given her the gimme job or whatever. And what I loved was all those people who looked up to one person, Chuck Laudner, who was the man who hired me. Chuck Laudner did an interview, I don't know if it was Bloomberg or Time, and they asked him, so who's the MVP of the campaign? And he goes, Tana Goertz. And I went, oh, whoa, wow, the reality TV star comes shining through again. Imagine that. So it's just women. I mean, I do see it a lot in women, but I just think that they just haven't had enough confidence. And once you start winning and getting successes and start building that confidence up, then we're unstoppable.
I agree, and that was one of the lessons I learned from the president. What did he say on the campaign trail before he became president? You're going to be so
tired of winning.
And I was like, is anyone tired of winning?
No.
I was never tired of winning.
No.
But once a woman gets a win behind their belt, don't just be satisfied with that one win. Keep going, right? That's what I'm like.
Gosh.
Because what the president, he became the president of the United States, and he was still working as hard as possible.
Harder.
And right?
Harder.
And so you're just like, okay, because he was never just satisfied. And we need to do that in our lives every day. And I think, first of all, I want to plug, if you haven't been to heytana.com, go. Google her on her YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. We're going to bring Tana back. She does do inspirational speaking. She speaks with a lot of different organizations across the United States. We're going to bring her back and here to Kansas. And we've worked with, I know our chairwoman from Leavenworth County is part of a domestic violence shelter. And I used to work for Governor Brownback over the Governor's Grants Office for all the domestic violence, sexual assault, child advocacy centers across the state. And so they have a yearly crime victims conference. So I'm going to talk with our Attorney General, Derek Schmidt, and see if we can't have you come and speak to all of those individuals. It's so great and empowering because these women and men who have been victims of crime, especially domestic violence, really need to hear that message of inspiration, encouragement, and the can-do, will-do. And absolutely. And so we appreciate you coming to Kansas. We appreciate Watch Kansas for hosting us today. And please subscribe to heytana.com. Look her up on the YouTube. I'm Adrienne Vallejo Foster. I want to say thank you for watching. Tana, you have any last words?
Well, I do want to say, I haven't even had a chance to tell you, but we had great feedback from last night. So a bunch of ladies want me to come back and do a retreat, like a summit.
Oh,
And nowhere better than Deer Ridge Estates. I want to do it here.
okay.
So stay tuned for more details on that. And I would love to maybe invite some of those ladies that you were speaking about
Yeah.
with the homeless or the domestic abuse shelter, because I touch upon a lot about the survival kit that women need and men need if they are rebuilding or reinventing themselves. Because I've been down that road and have a lot of passion of helping others succeed in that area of their life. So stay tuned for more, because I am coming back and I haven't even had a chance to tell you that.
Yeah, well, that is awesome news. I had no idea. So, so continue watching and following us on Watch Kansas. Hey, Tana. You can also follow me, Adrienne Foster. So on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat,
You name it.
you name it, all
Right.
kinds of social channels. Thank you again.
Thanks.